Welcome back to the channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Emirates and the Airbus A380, an iconic duo, and I'd love for you to comment down below before I begin. Another airline and aircraft combination through the years that you also think of as iconic. But as for Emirates and their commitment to the world's largest passenger plane, why this aircraft? Why not something else? Why has the A380 been so instrumental to them, but also a favourable aircraft from the offing? Well, Emirates' decision to order the Airbus A380 is really deeply entangled with its business model. Pair that business model with the growth we've seen unfold in Dubai across recent decades, and the aircraft was certainly seen as an optimal choice. It's also important to consider when examining business models is that the airline utilises the hub and spoke model, something more and more airlines have moved away from, but for a company like Emirates, they've stuck true to it and see the benefits. The model utilizes Dubai International as its central hub to connect traffic worldwide. This model is also made possible thanks to the geographical positioning of Dubai, which, when you look at it on a map, it's perfectly positioned between the Oceania and Asia regions, and then continuing onwards to Europe and North America. Plus, there's great access to the Middle East and Africa, all from Dubai. Emirates has really looked to capitalize on this growth by establishing a wide array of routes that connect passengers from all walks of life to all corners of the globe, using Dubai as its home. The strategy focuses on having high service levels, which has helped it be one of the biggest and also one of the leading ones present. A critical aspect of any airline's operations, which potentially isn't talked about as much as, say, aircraft orders, is that of airport slots. Slots are designated times for takeoffs and landings, and they are a scarce resource at many of the world's largest and therefore busiest airports. I'm talking locations such as London Heathrow, Paris Charles de Gaulle, New York JFK, and the list goes on. These are heavily constrained airports, especially in terms of available slots, and this makes it challenging for airlines to not only increase capacity, but try and do this by, say, increasing the amount of flights they offer, let alone if you're looking at a prospective airline entering a market. That is incredibly difficult. Emirates, however, flies into these hubs and faces the same constraints, but to overcome this challenge, the airline knew that it needed a solution to add good levels of capacity without necessarily being forced to increase the number of flights. This wouldn't be impossible if they used the A380, deemed as the perfect answer. With an ability to carry hundreds of passengers, more than that of your twin-engined, more efficient alternatives, Emirates was able to maximize the number of people on a single flight, and this plane allowed them to operate into high-demand locations, while meeting the demand and seeing pressures eased on smaller aircraft such as the 777 that could then be deployed to markets that maybe, say, didn't require an Airbus A380. One of the more standout features of the aircraft is its size, but Emirates would also just view that size as a great way to offer a fantastic passenger experience. Now, while some would disagree, and this is certainly something that is up for debate in the comments, Emirates has always aimed to, you'd argue, differentiate itself from other operators of the aircraft. The sheer size has given it a bit of a blank canvas to basically work with, and it's looked to introduce amenities that make it stand out for travelers. Emirates' A380 have those suites. They have an onboard shower, a lounge, and more, and these have become iconic. Have other airlines looked to replicate something? Yes, we've seen that through Singapore Airlines and Etihad Airways. Do some people believe the latter's cabin products to be better? Definitely, and you'd argue that's subjective to each person. But one thing that Emirates has had up on the others is its fantastic marketing. That's where I move next. The A380 has successfully become more than just an aircraft for Emirates. It's become part of the airline and a symbol of its business. Through bold advertisements and marketing campaigns that see people stand atop of the Burj Khalifa, Emirates has been able to position the A380 as something that non-aviation enthusiasts and and just a regular everyday person can recognize. They'll see an aircraft this big, know it's Emirates, and immediately recall it to be that huge plane. While they might not know the name, it shows that Emirates' marketing has been key. And if we go towards the president of Emirates, Tim Clark, he's on multiple occasions highlighted how the A380's scale allowed them to be able to redefine what it meant to offer a passenger experience. The capacity and features meant that Emirates could have a service that they maybe thought to be unimaginable, and the vision of this certainly aligns with Dubai's view of growing their tourism side, with fantastic, unimaginable in the past opportunities. Despite the A380's many advantages, Emirates actually does now face a challenge, and it's a big one. The airline's business model has always emphasized maintaining a young and modern fleet because of the positive repercussions surrounding them. Typically, they will retire older aircraft and replace them with newer models. While every airline does this, as it is the circle of life, it doesn't necessarily follow, say, the same means as other airlines. It will look to retire its aircraft far sooner. However, with the A380, this approach is complicated because you have to remember the lack of a definitive replacement, and also Emirates' sheer love for the aircraft that's unparalleled compared to others it's previously flown. Production of the A380 has also ceased, and no other quadjet is in the works. While there are newer, more efficient long-haul planes, such as the upcoming Boeing 777X, which is entering the market, this does not match the A380's capacity perfectly. For most airlines, I argue most, the trade-off between reduced capacity but greater efficiency is something that's worthwhile. But this is a challenging compromise for an airline like Emirates, who have actually been able to successfully utilize the Airbus A380 for some time now, and be one of the few to be able to do so. Emirates will look to retain the A380s in their fleet longer than initially planned, potentially through to the early 2040s. The airline's ability to sustain the A380s will obviously present challenges. As the planes get older, you'd imagine that maintenance costs will obviously rise, but retrofitting programs such as what we are seeing take place will be important in maintaining the quality of the aircraft inside. And we already know that Emirates is building massive facilities to support its fleet for the long term, so you definitely wouldn't doubt that the A380 will be kept in working order for quite some time longer. But with that being said, the aircraft will still age and eventually need to be phased out, and Emirates need to be prepared to find a way to adequately replace it. Emirates and the A380. What a fantastic combination, and it's seen at airports right around the world. With so many in the airline's fleet, it's certainly not hard to find why the airline has liked the combination. There are so many reasons, as touched on, the A380 works for them, and that was definitely evident through the continued purchases. Remember, Emirates went back on numerous occasions to top up its A380 order. So it is over to you now. What are your thoughts on the Airbus A380 at Emirates? And I guess if we're looking into the future, how on earth are they going to replace it? Do you believe that will be present through the 777X? Or, and a massive or, considering they want to retain them through to the 2040s, do you potentially see something coming about in, say, the late 2020s and late 2030s that could be a great alternative for them? Maybe is patience going to be key? Let me know. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. It is really appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you in a couple of days for your latest industry analysis. And we'll fly.